Ji, Assalamualaikum. Today our topic is about war, its impact, its economic impact. Without wasting much time, let me start, set the stage, and later on I will be joined by Mr. Sadani Shah as well as Mr. Imaduddin Shaikh. So, there are two things which are being discussed right now on all the media, including social media. One is the information problem. There are so many theories, predictions, talks, and on the other hand, there is some economic reality. So let me remove this banner. Yeah. So since there are discussions on speculations of war on various media, including television, there are so many political narratives. So much of the information and the facts are missing, and minute by minute headlines happening right now due to Iran war. And there are some emotional reactions seen in the market as well, stock market uh, and other markets. And then there is economic reality. So it's about supply chain issues, it's predictability, it's about energy volatility, it's about freight costing escalation because of the oil prices, as well as inflationary pressures. So, what is more important to us as CFOs and CEOs is the economic reality instead of the theories, speculations. And the most important thing right now is the oil supplying countries, which are Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Iraq, Qatar, and Iran. And there are major buyers from these regions, which are China, India, Japan, South Korea, Europe, and Pakistan to some extent. So, if there is any disruption on this corridor of 33 kilometer, which is called the Strait of Hormuz, it triggers. Let me welcome Mr. Asad Ali Shah. Who, so, am I audible? Imad,
Yes.
Asad Ali Shah, sir. Maybe we lost Asad Ali Shah again. Wait a minute. Yeah, welcome Asad Ali Shah, sir. Welcome, Imad. I've just started. There was some connection issue, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh,
the internet connection issue is there, I think.
yeah, I hope it
So,
works fine now. So I've just
yeah.
started. I was just setting up the stage with some background. There are some theories, speculations, and other talks, and there are some economic realities. So I have talked about there are two aspects. Let me go back. One is there's the information problem, and the other is about the facts. So more important to us as CFOs, CEOs, CXOs is the economic reality, which I just spoke about. So I was talking about Strait of Hormuz, which is currently being affected. And on the left side, these are the countries who are the exporters of oil, and on the right side are the importers. So this Strait of Hormuz controls 20% of the global supply of oil, and worldwide supply is around 100 million barrels daily. So it's kind of 20%. So one out of five barrels is supplied through this corridor. And let us go back. So there have been so many wars happening in this region. 1990, very famous Gulf War. During that war, oil prices doubled within months. Then we know about 2003 Iraq War, due to which there was sharp market volatility, and there was sustained uncertainty. And then 22, which was recent, Russia Ukraine, and during that, when the war started, the oil crossed 120 per barrel. So that was about global supply chain realignment. So if we talk about the impacts, so it is about number one, geopolitical shock. Number two is about logistics spikes. Number three, it affects energy inflation, oil prices. Number four, production is squeezed because of these reasons. Um, Various supply chain problems, transportation costs, and last is about the consumer. All these lead to the inflation, CPI, increase in CPI, consumer inflation. So, if I talk about the predictability problems, the modern supply chain rely heavily on maritime routes, and whenever there is a conflict, a war, it shatters the predictability. So, it cannot be just in time. It could be uh, resilient or non-resilient supply. And there are various factors. The cargo might be rerouted to another route. Number two, freight cost spikes are always seen during these conflicts. Number three, insurance premiums rise, and some of the companies also decline to insure your transportation items, especially oil. And number four, it all leads to scarcity of raw materials. Then, if we talk about inflation versus economic growth, so this is kind of equilibrium problem. And energy is the foundational component of global inflation. This is one of the main reasons noticed in this global scenario. And how it happens, the oil prices drive up inflation, and then central banks intervene for monetary policies, interest rates, and then there are higher rates both in commodity prices as well as availability finances. These impact the economic growth. So it's kind of a vicious circle, and especially countries in the emerging economies like Pakistan are affected not only for inflation but also for monetary policy and currency depreciation issues. Now, since there are pressures from all sides, so these are trade deficits problems, these are currency weaknesses problems, these are fiscal pressures. You will also see impacts in the upcoming budget. We have also seen petrol prices adjustment already, and we are going to see electric and gas prices as well. And all these lead to inflation, and we all know this all leads to a vicious cycle. So there are certain safe havens for capital inflow, and there are some volatility things. So if we talk about equities, the global equity markets are currently volatile. We have seen so many ups and downs, not just in a few economies directly dependent on Gulf, but also those economies which cannot be considered to be having much effect due to this war. But we have seen a lot of stock market prices, equity prices have we are seeing right now are fluctuating, sometimes going up, sometimes going down. Not only in US and in Pakistan, but also in far eastern countries as well. Now, this is the summary of all those things I have spoken about right now. We have spoken about oil price range, which are forward curves and spot prices. You can see, and then how maritime logistics. These are a stepwise increase instead of a linear increase. Insurance premiums increase is kind of it goes in kind of a linear movement, and there are some spikes. Currency volatility is completely volatile, like an ECG impact. Again, the interest rate expectations are a stepwise increase in interest rate costs, and commodity movements could be anything. So it could be increasing, declining. Various commodities have various kind of impact. Especially the raw material input costs are much impacted, which have inflationary impact. Now, there are various scenarios in these kind of geopolitical risks. Number one is energy spike. Scenario A could be triggered. That is, oil prices could be hold. It could be $20 per barrel above baseline. Scenario B could be a route disruption, which is uh, like, for example, a Strait of Hormuz is impacted, so you have to think about other routes available, if there are any. And number C is about the central banks hiking the interest rates to address the problems of inflation. So these could have various kind of scenarios impacting an economy. Now, the problem is there have been seen various reactive leaderships, especially in countries, developing or underdeveloped countries. So this kind of reactive leadership, for example, we have seen sudden jump in petrol prices in Pakistan. So I call it a reactive leadership. So there was some news, and then you speculated in advance, and you suddenly hiked your prices by around more than 25%. So this kind of impact might not only impact might not only have impact which are global impact, inflationary pressures globally and route disruption, but also emotional impact or reactive impact, and these could also uh, impact the sentiments of public, and which are also impacting a lot of markets, commodity prices as well as equity prices. So the point here I'm making, and I would love to discuss with Mr. Asad Ali Shah and Mr. Imaduddin, is whether these kind of speculations should have any uh, uh, sense in our decision making. So my point number one is separate economic facts from the media speculations. Point number two is maintain an uncompromising financial resilience and liquidity. Number third point is monitor defined economic drivers that could be called a CFO dashboard. And number four is communication with clarity instead of panicking the situation further. So this is my idea as how I understand the situation. But obviously there could be a difference of opinion, which I would love to listen from other speakers. So this is the last point. In times of geopolitical uncertainty, understanding the economics matters more than the noise. So I hear a lot of noise. There's continuous noise on news, on WhatsApp, on social media, everywhere. Now, I have three particular questions, not only with the speakers, but also with the audience. So whoever is listening to us on LinkedIn or YouTube, so these are my three questions. What dashboard indicators are you watching most closely right now? Number two, how exposed is your specific organization to energy price volatility right now? And number three is what contingency plans exist in your business for a major supply chain disruption? That's it. So with that, I would love to have views from Asad Ali Shah, who has joined us for the first time in this webinar. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us today. So I have already spoken about the two things. One thing is about the speculations and stories, and the other thing is economic reality. So I would love to have your feedback.
Thank you, Shehzad. Um, you you provided a comprehensive, summed up broadly the situation. But um, the conditions that we are in today, um, probably, something that that are hardly predictable by anybody, you know. And it requires, I think, the world has entered in an era and a condition that one person who is head of the most powerful country in the world, Mr. Trump, you know, so it requires deep, I think, a PhD or something on the brain of how does this guy function, because uh, this one person, I would say maybe the other is Netanyahu. These two people have created a storm which is which was, I mean, something nobody could have imagined, really. And uh, it's very interesting and strange times. This war was, initiated by uh, these two countries, US, I mean, the Trump and Netanyahu. And it seems they started it without fully analyzing and assessing the impact of, what impact it is going to have on the country, Iran, the entire region, and the entire world. So, and it's, totally unpredictable conditions. Um, Starting a war like that without having clear objectives, and putting the entire world, the region and entire world at risk. You see, I mean, you have already discussed, and it is being discussed in night, the Strait of Hormuz, from where the 20% of the oil passes, oil and gas, I mean, is virtually closed. And because of that, the of course, the most affected country is Iran, where uh, more than, I think, 1,300, 1,400 people have also died. But they are living it's a nightmare how people are living there, Tehran and other places, because thousands of bombing of thousands of attacks, uh, which must have, and they are destroying their energy infrastructure as well. So obviously they are most affected. Then the Gulf region is totally closed. The economy is impacted, and they're not able to export oil also. Uh, so except for, I think, US, which has become now net exporter of oil, virtually the entire world, is faced with shortage of price volatility, increase in prices. Uh, I mean, we are already in a situation where the Brent has crossed or is around $100. It went down yesterday, as we know, by Mr. Trump's statement that substantially war is over, there's nothing more to destroy. That kind of a statement, and people relied on it. But then it seems that nobody knows how this escalation war will be ended, and how, and some kind of ceasefire or de-escalation will happen, because there is no communication between these uh, three parties, and there is very little mediation that is happening. So, I mean, we are probably, if this situation continues, then we are entering into a phase that is totally unprecedented, because the world, the maximum oil price that has gone up was about $150 or so. Now we are talking about possibility of touching $200 a barrel. And, this absolutely, uh, nobody has a clue how this war will be finished or de-escalated. So it all depends on this one crazy man who has taken the entire world for a ride. Even the US, which obviously is not that much impacted because they become exporters of oil, but still the oil prices have gone up there, and the turbulence in trade and economy obviously will hit the markets, and there will be so many I mean, implications that cannot even be properly considered. For instance, you know, uh, these Arab countries, they have huge investments in the US bond market, right? So if they start withdrawing money from the US market, and of course Chinese can also do it, because China is also 80% of their oil, they are dependent on Iran. So I mean, if the oil price goes north of 150 and 200, and if these countries start to withdraw their investments, so you can imagine the interest rates going up in US, and the largest market, US today. In fact, there is a very interesting publication by McKinsey on that has been issued 2 days back on 250 years of the United States. So at the moment, United States has achieved incredible, success in terms of improving the lives of Americans, and rather the entire world. You know, so they are just 4% of the population, and their economy is 26% of the world. And as far as the capital markets are concerned, uh, the 100 out of top 100 companies, the US market share is 56%. So overall, US capital markets are so big, and if they start, there is this, if this thing continues, and if uh, uh, you know the people start selling, which is just not entirely unlikely, then you can imagine the implications of crash of the capital markets. Because capital markets are much bigger than the world GDP also, right? So it's totally uh, it's something that nobody could have imagined. And it's totally a stupid war. It's not serving anybody's interest. But somehow, it is continuing, and I just don't know how the de-escalation will happen. If it doesn't happen, then I think every person on earth is impacted by this. It's not obviously the countries where it's happening are the greatest affected nations, but then in countries which import oil, like us, India, and China, and entire Europe. So there is no country which is not affected by this. Every person's, because of the inflation, increase in oil price, and the transport, and the cost of doing business, cost of living, everything goes up. So that's the situation. I think what is required is how to end this stupid war, which has impacted everybody. And the biggest person, or the one person who needs to be managed or who needs to be advised, is Mr. Trump himself to de-escalate. So
Okay,
that's
I'm
Thank you,
just
Asad. Thank you,
how.
Asad. You provided a very nice
I,
overview of the entire situation. You rightly pointed out that it's hard to predict anything in the current scenario. And probably the million-dollar question right now is how long the war continues, because the length of the duration of the war will determine the second and third order effects. As you said, there could be effects in the Gulf region, there could be effects in the global economy and capital markets. And if as US is hoping, there would be a smaller short-term war, that would be the first order effects are benefiting in some way the United States, as you said. But if it continues, there would be a lot of trouble. But apart from that, before we even go into what kind of effects we would have, as you said, there are a lot of the global perspective on why this war started is also very important. So a lot of theories are in circulation about why this war started. One of the theories is that the US wanted to defend its own monetary system, the global hegemony of the US dollar. So people are saying that the attack on Venezuela and the attack on Iran is basically the attack on BRICS, so that they do not supply oil to China, firstly. and they cannot have their own maybe reserve currency, or US maintains its status as reserve currency in the longer run. So some people are saying that this is essentially a war in the future to protect, to not let the future happen. So what are your views on these, broader theories that are circulating?
Okay. What is your question? So,
So there
are you
are
asking?
certain, yeah. What is your view on these various theories that are circulating of what the incentive of this war was? Some people associate
uh,
this with
I think
Israel. Some people say with the U.S. interest.
why this has happened. Your question is, what are the factors?
Yeah.
You see, the only apparent reason um is the Israel's insistence. Actually, Mr. Netanyahu and Israel had decided already, as the stories are emerging, and he had a meeting. Netanyahu had some meeting uh, with Mr. Trump few months back, and they had decided at that time, that whatever is left in Iran in terms of their military capability, will be totally destroyed. The side objective was also regime change that has also come. I mean, to get rid of the government, which is run by mainly clergy. You know, uh, so that was the objective. Israel, because you see, if you look at the conditions in Middle East around the area where Israel is situated. Uh, we know that last few years they have totally decimated Palestinians in Gaza. Uh, More than 70,000, innocent citizens, men, women, and children have been decimated, killed, murdered, slaughtered by the Israelis, and entire world has been watching. The only country that was giving some tough time uh, was Iran by supporting, a few Palestinian groups, Hamas and Hezbollah, and so that was the only country which was, you know, some way or the other, last many years, have created some opposition to the Israelis. So I think the objective of Israel was they already had 12-day war last year in 2025. So significant damage was done to Iran's military capacity at that time also. But now, the, there's no doubt the precision uh, these countries have and the power they have. They eliminated their supreme leader, targeted the top military and political leadership. A lot of people have been killed, and they were expecting. I think the intent was that destroy their military capacity and also to get the regime change. They thought that if the supreme leader, Mr. Ali Khamenei, if he dies, the regime will collapse. But Iran has surprised the entire world that despite so much precision and killing so many of their political and military leaders, somehow they've shown resilience. They have elected another supreme leader, and mind you, there is a lot of opposition in Iran also. Within Iran, there have been protests of thousands of people. So I think Iran is seems that there is a polarized situation in Iran also. The, the claims that are being made that in the protests against the clergy government, thousands of people have been killed by the current regime. The minimum estimate, people are saying from maybe 7,000, 6,000 to 13,000 people have been killed. Now that's a very large number, you know. Americans have not killed that many people as their own government, have killed. Uh, and obviously, it's complete blockade. Uh, but these are the estimate. Nobody, it's impossible to know what exact situation is. But I think this region uh, becomes very, very turbulent and volatile. Uh, Even after when the war finishes, if they are not able to kind of cause the current regime to collapse, then I suspect that there is the possibility of civil war in Iran, a long civil war, because there is a very large segment of population. I don't know what is the number, but it is very significant who are fed up of the clergy rule, because if there was a sensible government in Iran, Iran would have been a big power, and their
Yeah.
people would have progressed tremendously because of the
Mm.
resources they have. It's one of the oldest civilization, one of the most civilized people, uh, but for the last 49 years it is being run by clergy. So ordinary Iranians, I think most of them are, maybe in my assessment, majority may be against this rule. But the manner U.S. and Israel have attacked Iran, they have actually created more sympathy now for the
Yeah.
clergy. So they have
True.
indirectly revived the support of the clergy, and now it is even more difficult for the
Yes.
ordinary Iranians to, change the setup. So Iran is going to be turbulent. Then I think the entire region, in all these Arab countries, Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE, they had uh, land and announced investment of $1.5 trillion or so in the US.
Yeah.
I'm sure they must be thinking about that. They are very much upset. Israel's intent was that, obviously, Iran has attacked these countries. So mainly they are saying that they are attacking US bases, but they've also, attacked the airports and some installations, uh, and their entire, communication and movement of, people. Dubai is a hospitality center, and entire world goes there in these countries, especially Dubai, and of course the oil export. They are mainly reliant on that has come to a halt. So these countries are literally, closed. But the wise thing, I must say, they've done is they have not countered or attacked Iran in response to Iran's, attack.
That's true.
Because I think there is a realization that this is not our war. This is not their war. And this, but what I foresee is that after this war, I'm hoping that it cannot continue like that, because this will start to hurt Mr. Trump more than any other things. You know, within US, uh, overwhelming majority of the people are against this war, and there is the midterm elections of the Congress are scheduled in November. But Trump's popularity is, overall approval rating is 38 to 40%. But as far as this war is concerned, I think over 70% of the people, ordinary Americans, even his hardcore group, which supported him because he claimed that he's going to stop all the wars and he will bring peace. Instead of that, he has started all these totally stupid wars. So I think world will have to bear with Mr. Trump till November. Uh, I'm hoping that the reticence will prevail in the US, and anti-Trump, uh, people will hopefully uh, win the midterm elections, Congress, as well as Senate, if which other Democrats are likely to win, then I think that will put strains or controls over Mr. Trump for his remaining 2 years. But it's a nightmare, ever since Mr. Trump has come to power for entire world. First it was tariffs, and now this war. So I hope that some way or the other, it's nobody's interest. This war will be de-escalated, hopefully in a week or two, because the world cannot tolerate, uh, the expected increase in the oil prices and the inflation and turbulence. So post this war, I think we'll see a major change in the world. There is already, as in a subtle way, most of the world is creating this, they are realigning themselves. China is emerging as, a major power after US. And just for the first time that, after maybe half a century or so, more than that, or 75 years after the World War, that US is losing its allies, whether it is European countries, even UK, Canada, and so many countries, even these Middle Eastern countries. I'm sure they must be looking for their security towards China and other countries. So I'm hoping that as a result of this, although it's a huge damage, but I think world will listen and learn the lesson that this country, it is too dangerous to have unipolar world. It is too dangerous, to have only one country which totally dominates the economy and military power. So some kind of balance, as we had uh, for was over 50 years, this Cold War between the Western powers, US and the Soviet Union. So after the collapse of Soviet Union, it has been a one power, country, world, unipolar world.
Mm.
Uh, so my hope is, you see, there is always some benefit from each crisis.
Mm.
So I think if there is some uh, balance between the world powers improves, and it is not just with one power, then I think world will be a better place.
Just one interruption here. Uh, if I break down the causes or reasons of war, so I analyze into four things which are the major reasons of war. Number one is ego, a war of egos. So ego can result in a war. Number one. Number two, it could be a threat. So if I am threatened by Imad, so instead of waiting for attack by him, I attack him. So it could be another reason, a threat or fear of the unknown. Number two. So they are also talking about the fear of Iran. Iran is Iran's economic atomic power or whatever. So number three is to gain more power, to become more powerful. So I attack other countries, and I become more powerful and become larger and greater. And number fourth is the economic reason, right? So a war benefits me or a country economically. So these could be the four breakdowns of any war. So if I analyze this war, and if I also talk about the previous wars or more, so for me the most stupid person was the person who attacked Japan with nuclear bombing. For me, that was the most stupid person. There's some US president in the past. But there have been wars in many countries, especially US driven wars. War in Vietnam, Iraq War, Afghan War, the war which resulted in breakdown of Russia, right? Uh, Due to the support of Afghan. So there have been many wars. So whenever I see all those wars, I come to conclusion that all these wars have actually benefited USA in some way or other. So how is this war different from all the other wars? What has changed suddenly? So one thing I can notice is that yes, interdependency has increased. So maybe 50 years ago, 70 years ago, the world was not interdependent so much, which is right now. So this could be one of the reasons. But I have not seen USA not being a beneficiary of from any other wars in this region. So any comment from Imad and Aziz Saab? Imad, you have been listening so far, so I would love to have your views as well.
I think I would like to channel the question to Asad Saab, but I would also like to add something to it. So you spoke about that you're hoping that it ends and the war ends in a few weeks, which was the original plan by US and Israel. But you also lean on the idea that Israel is the one driving this war. So I would ask, isn't it the case if the case for Israel is to have a hegemony or military hegemony in the region, would not Israel want, or the far right government of Israel want, a prolonged war in the region to neutralize a lot of countries in the region, as opposed to US, who would want 2 or 3 weeks war, a smaller, shorter war, to limit the effects, second and third order effects of the war? Wouldn't Israel want a prolonged war? What is the possibility of a prolonged war?
Possibility of long war, in my judgment, it is in nobody's interest. It is going to create huge turmoil. Uh, I don't think they've already. Israel has already achieved substantial part of their objectives by they have eliminated, totally decimated Iran's navy, their air force, and their capacity. They've probably, but they have not been able to conquer the resilience of the Iranians, obviously. So, talking about these wars that the US had, you see, US had conflict in Vietnam, they lost that war, right? Then we came to the Iraq invasion, and they were there. They were able to change the regime, but again, Iraqis were not happy, and they had to leave. They could not get any economic benefit from that also. But I think they helped regime change in Iraq, and in this time, again, they have not been able to achieve the. Then we come to the Afghan war after the Vietnam. I mean, despite they spent hundreds of billions of dollars in Afghanistan, and they were such a mighty country. But then look, whatever you may call Taliban and these jihadis, but it was their resilience and will that they rendered humiliating defeat to the US. They had to run out of the get out of the Afghanistan. So this one, it seems, there also it was Sunni clergy. Here it is Shia clergy. So it seems that they are in for something. They did not visualize. They thought that the regime will collapse in few days, but that has not happened. So you see, if we consider the two objectives of the war, although they've not stated in that way, one was to weaken Iran substantially. I think that they have done to a great extent. The other part, the regime change, that they have not been able to do. So um, uh, I think, as I said, uh, post this war, the only benefit of this war will be if there is a realignment and balance between the two major powers, US and China. These are by far the the largest powers today. The largest economy is US, of course, economically also. It's $29 trillion economy. China is also a 18, $19 trillion economy. And they are both contesting in technology and AI. So, overall, obviously, US still dominates this era of technology and artificial intelligence and the digitization and all that. But Chinese have also, developed similar tools, and they are not far behind in many technologies, really. So this the situation that US has created, if the Gulf countries and European countries objectively think about it, they need to change their alignment. Uh, it is no NATO, which has been the forum through which US has been leading the world. It's virtually broken now. Uh, so that's what it is. I think I foresee that this war hopefully should somehow finish in a week or 10 days or so. If it doesn't, then I think there is going to be unprecedented turbulence. We are so it we can't even imagine what's going to happen if the oil touches $200. Then this is a totally uncharted territory.
Uh, what is more problematic for the global economy? The actual economic reality, the actual situations, or the conspiracy theories and speculations? I guess that speculations have much more impact in the shorter run. Uh, Both of you, your comments.
See, there is a lot of fake news also that happens, and conspiracy theories. But like I've been hearing, these news or people have started saying that Iranians have killed Netanyahu. You know, somebody very credible. Some last evening I was, in fact, there was a dinner at the Consul General's Consulate of China, and interestingly, people are saying that with a lot of confidence that if Netanyahu has been injured or killed, and Mossad chief has also been, killed. So I checked with Chat GPT and Gemini and Grok. They said Grok is totally US biased, and I checked with the others. So these tools they provided that exactly what's happening there, and Israel had already contradicted that. And about the Mossad chief, all the particulars were given that this guy is about to retire in next 3 months, but he has been there. He is still there. So you see, there is a lot of fake news. There's no doubt about it, and conspiracy theories. But because of the means of communication and technology, people get to know the reality, or people who matter at least. So we have, it's not just the issue of perception. We have a genuine crisis, unprecedented crisis. This is for the first time that this Strait of Hormuz has been closed. People were not anticipating Iran to be able to do it because they thought that they have been totally eliminated. Their navy and air force has been eliminated, but the fact of the matter is they are still controlling Strait of Hormuz. So I don't know if US somehow is able to completely eliminate their military power, and if they are able to free uh, Strait of Hormuz, then obviously, situation would be different. Otherwise, the impact of this stoppage of export of oil and total movement to that area, it's an important area, is highly damaging for the world, and everybody gets affected.
So let me give one example recently. So we all know that this might impact the prices of oil, right? And it may impact the supply. So, for example, Pakistan already knew that it has a supply of oil for around 1 month, right? And they foresee that the prices will increase due to supply. So instead of that waiting for any impact worldwide, they increase the prices locally, right? And then they increase the price, and those that increase was not resulting in the benefit to the government, but the benefit was passed to the oil marketing companies. So what kind of a stupid measure was that? So I couldn't understand that. So instead of anything, any crisis
I can
happening,
explain. I can
they
explain.
created.
I
So
I've
they
also
created.
written against it.
Yeah.
It was obviously the benefit has gone to the oil companies and refineries, and
Yeah.
maybe it's people are saying from 150, 82 billion, 80 billion to 115 billion is the impact, their
Yeah.
profitability. So you look, I mean, government basically did only one thing. We already have a system of fortnightly price changes, right? And this price is petroleum products is based on this plots, the average prices during that fortnight, and it is based on international price because substantially we are import-driven economy. Okay? So only thing they did was that instead of waiting for a complete fortnight, they brought this change to change in oil price on a weekly basis. Secondly, it's true that the cost of oil companies and refineries was much lower because they had imported oil, you know, a month or 15 days earlier, and the stock that was lying was cheaper. But the government actually has uh, two main objectives. One is they're saying that we follow the international price on this basis that we have to maintain this 30-day inventory. So idea is that when they are selling, they have to buy at that price also to keep that inventory. That's one objective. Second, they also increase the price, to crush the demand. I think at this point in time, government, intent was, and this austerity measures as they've announced, work from home and 4-day week and, virtual closing the schools and universities, etc., etc. All these measures are there to reduce the consumption of oil because there is a risk that if this then continues, for a month or two, then there is a risk of running out of stocks, which will be obviously much more disastrous than the higher price. If you're not getting the oil, then the oil, yeah, instead of
I understand that.
335, HSD may go to 1,000 rupees. So imagine the in this 21st century, if you don't have energy, uh, what life would be, how industries and people, how will your air conditioner function if there is no electricity? Because substantial part of your electricity is also based on imported coal and the gas, imported gas,
So
and
actually, my
the
point is
impact
valid.
on fertilizer also.
Yeah.
Because of the one fertilizer factory has also been closed.
So I think my point is valid that speculation and perceptions have more impact on decisions, right, instead of the reality.
Uh, I agree and also disagree. You see, in terms of economics, when the perception and the reality are, the pattern is the same. The reality reality, then the perception obviously also impacts. And as you know, markets overreact. you know. So, but it doesn't happen over long term. It is you may have fake news or perception of something exaggerated thing for 1 or 2 days, few days, but then people get to know because of the means of communication. So here, the perception may be totally different, significantly exaggerated news may be coming, but the reality is also there. They are not totally different in this condition. They are on in the same direction. So if the war stops, you cannot have fake news that it is continuing. World will come to know about it if there is a ceasefire. And if there is no ceasefire, even if when Trump gives a statement that substantially I've achieved the objectives and it is going to close down, but if the war continues, then people will not believe even Trump. So it's actually the reality and the perception are not significantly different from each other in current conditions.
Yeah. And I think perception management is usually for the masses. Those who are making decisions usually have sources that are more reliable than those relying on mainstream media. Um, Asad, you talked about the possibility of a major change after this war. So, in the recent World Economic Forum, there was also a buzzword word which people are talking about, which is a new world order. So, do you see something being like designed in terms of a new world order, or is it evolving with time due to the interaction of forces?
As I said, you see, one thing is very clear that US and I think I agree with your first point that Shehzad said that the problem has arisen. You said four points were there. The first one is ego. Ego is the key issue here. There's no doubt about it. So, but the other factor, which reality, which if this war ends without Iranians' total surrender, as Trump is claiming, if the Irani regime survives and they continue to have, this energy source, then one myth or reality, whatever you may say about the US power, that they have unlimited power, they can do anything, that finishes or that erodes substantially. So if, like Afghanistan, they were ultimately defeated. If in Iran, they're not able to cause a total collapse of Iranian government, and the war ends, ceasefire is done. Without that, then it will not be considered a success of the US. So that perception is very important. Second, as I said, that this realignment due to tariffs and now this war, because you see, one of the biggest sufferer of this war are also US allies, Europeans. They import huge hydrocarbons, gas and the oil. So, and they are already, because of the tariffs and unilateral actions of Mr. Trump, they're already the big powers have started talking to each other. They're seeing what is in their interests. So, there is more sympathy for Chinese view. And I think the smartest player in this whole game seems to be China. There was, again, somebody said in last night's conversation that there was this, I don't remember, some Chinese philosopher who said that, the greatest way to win a war is to win it without fighting. Words to that effect. So all of that, if the might of US is exposed, and if it causes, if Europeans, they had already threatened to withdraw their funds from the US bond market, and that is what actually pressured Trump from taking over Greenland from Denmark, right? So if there these people, and then if these Gulf countries, they start withdrawing their money from the US and put in gold, maybe gold will. I mean, we have seen that the price of gold going up in the last few years because of uh, the trust deficit with the American economy and the American actions and the dollar. So if the bond market, goes up, interest rate start going up, that will cause a lot of damage to the U.S. economy. And this realignment, possibly, people are saying that they're thinking of having security agreement, the Saudi Arabia and others, with Chinese. They have this agreement with mutual war pact with Pakistan also, because they saw Pakistan's superiority or strength in the 4-day war we had with India. And it was all because of the, apart from our forces, the Chinese technology. The world was surprised by the Chinese technology, right? So if the Gulf countries, move away from the US or go have some, they not on okay, they may not go fully with China, but they may do some balancing act. So these things will, uh, create some balance or rebalance the global economy and the geopolitics as well. And you see, whether you like it or not, I mean, it's true that all these Muslim Arab countries, they used to unite at one time when there was a war with Israel, whether it was 1973 war, or before 1973, 1967 war, all these countries, Syria, Egypt, and Saudis used to support them. There used to be support for Palestinians. But now all these countries, they don't even condemn US for this war and the damage that the US has done to their economies, and the perception, as you said, about, I mean, think of what will be the situation in Dubai, their real estate market, and because of the new vulnerabilities that have been discovered in this war. So this is how I think, as I said, the one positive thing from this would be a creation of more balance in the geopolitics and the global powers.
So, most of the time you have spoken about the global powers, mainly about US, right? And decision by Trump, right? And you have declared him as the most stupid person. And you have spoken about how China is rising. But my concern is about the Middle East. So, if I think from your perspective, who is gaining more power in the Middle East and who is losing power? So, for me, as I see it, Arabs are losing power, Iran is also losing, and Israel, I think, is gaining a lot of power. For me, Israel is not coming as a loser in this war, as I see it. So it could be a conspiracy theory. So, but I see that it's not becoming weaker after this war. But Arab countries, yes, they have already shown us their vulnerabilities and weaker side. Any comments on that?
There's no doubt about it that this war has been done at the behest of Israel. It is Netanyahu, and that reflects the enormous influence that Israel has over US. They have trapped them into this war. So definitely Israel is the beneficiary. If Iran is totally weakened, all other countries are already subdued. So from that perspective, Israel becomes much more secure as per their objective. But the other side is that it is also strengthening China, because, as I said, China, if the American supremacy is compromised, and also economically trade people start to look at other economies.
No, but
So
but
from
but
that perspective,
but
China is also
I'm just
benefiting.
thinking lousy. I can understand that China is benefiting, but what's in it for us? Are we getting benefit because if China becomes stronger? I don't think so. So if it is country A or country C, how is it going to affect Arab countries or maybe countries like Pakistan? So we are not at any advantage if China becomes powerful. It is an advantage for China, yes, of course. So how I think I'm sensing something in your discussion as well as when people discuss about China, they think they are China, and they talk about if China becomes stronger, it seems like they have some emotional kind of reaction that it is like their own win. If China wins, they win, but it is not like that. Arabs are not becoming stronger if China becomes
No, no,
stronger,
no.
right?
I didn't say that. I'm not saying that Arabs will become stronger. Arabs remain vulnerable, but
Yep.
it will definitely raise a question mark about their complete reliance on the US. See,
Yes.
their vulnerability increases. This teaches them a lesson that, in terms of money, they are super rich. They have
Yes. True.
huge, reserves and surpluses. So why should you put all your eggs in one basket, which is the
Yeah.
US? If US can betray you like that, because you see in this war also, uh, the whole war is actually missiles, because Iran doesn't have air force anymore, doesn't have navy. They have a good inventory of both missiles and drones, all right, and unlimited, uh, big quantity of drones really. So it's a new era. So I mean, when they're hitting them with a drone, which costs $34,000 or $35,000, you know, they require interceptors, which cost more than $1 million or so.
True.
So there is a shortage. One issue that the Israel and the US are faced with is that they had not done the preparation to have good quantity of interceptors. So
True.
whatever interceptors US has, they are providing to Israel, but not to Saudi Arabia and not to Qatar and UAE. So people are already talking about that. Why should we have alliance or dependence on US, which is dictated by Israel? And whether they like it or not, countries like UAE have totally compromised with Israel, but they, in the hearts of their hearts, they should understand that Israel is not their friend. So
Hmm.
what I'm saying is that if they start to realize this and balance their defense needs by getting some support and technology and help from the Chinese, then I mean that's what is one likely scenario. As far as Pakistan is concerned, uh, I think, except for the economic hit that we have, uh, the, the good thing about the current government is that relations with China, but they are also our leadership, our blue-eyed boys of Trump also. So that is something I think they need credit to uh, to have been able to get support from of both countries versus India. So Pakistan, I think, is economically a very weak economy now. We are one of the worst economies in terms of our human development and economic indicators. But we have the atomic power, so I think we do get some economic benefits from Saudi Arabia and these countries because of their vulnerability. So maybe Pakistan can get more leverage and provide them some comfort that we are there to help you. So I don't know how much that will help, but definitely, I mean, I think one of the benefit that Pakistan has from these countries is that we get remittances from our workers who are there, who go there. Now, Pakistan's dependence on remittances more than its exports. It's Isn't it strange that this year the total estimate of our remittances is going to be $43 billion, and our total exports is around 36 to 38 billion dollars. So we were talking yesterday that look, 1.4 million Pakistanis who are living in these countries are generating only through part of their earnings $43 billion, whereas rest of the 250 million people are producing exports of $36 billion, $10 billion less. So you could see the comparison, where the value creation is.
Yep. So, coming to Pakistan, what three suggestions would you have for Pakistan government? How should they plan? What should they focus upon? Any three things?
I think Pakistan has a huge opportunity because our leadership is able to communicate to Mr. Trump. And I think we have communication channels with Iran also. So, and it is this turbulence continues in Iran. We have a huge border with Iran also. From that perspective, also, I think Pakistani leadership have the opportunity to take benefit of this confusion, and if they can play a role of mediation to work out, how to satisfy ego of the mullahs in Iran and also of Mr. Trump. So if
Yes.
it's pretty simple. It's not that rocket science, but can we do it? If you are able to do it, everybody will be thankful to Pakistan. If to get out of this war, uh, imagine the relief that the Trump and uh, the Iranian clergy will have if we are able to, get them out of this war without hurting too much of ego.
So, in one sentence, Mr. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has an opportunity to
Yeah,
win a Nobel Prize for peace if he plays his role
yeah.
smartly. Yeah.
I'm not sure whether it is the prime minister or the person who appoints the prime minister.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Imad, you have been silent most of the time. Otherwise, and I have seen your preparations, but you're not showing anything to us from any of your preparations, any videos,
Yeah,
anything.
sure, sure. I like to show some things, especially as a staff have been talking about the withdrawal of funds from the U.S. capital market, and so news is that this trend has actually already started. If I may just share my screen to show you a brief glimpse of that.
Please go ahead.
You'll have to, I think, say it also because the screen will be very short for many people, people who
Okay.
are
Have you already
using
shared?
their cell phones.
Yes.
I couldn't, uh, understand your slides because they are too small on the screen.
Yeah, he's right. And can you make it a full size screen?
This is already full size from my side.
No, we are only seeing a bit
We-
of it.
You have
And
to, you
yeah,
have to, I think, say what is written there also.
yeah,
Absolutely,
At least the
absolutely.
key things you
Sure.
want
So the
people to know.
top US hedge funds have already started experiencing withdrawals as redemptions. And so these funds, especially the BlackRock, which is probably the world's top fund, had to set a limit on how much withdrawal can be made. And so this trend is actually trickling down to other smaller hedge funds as well. So there are, withdrawal requests, as you said, as you predicted. Secondly, I would like to show. You also talked about that their allies in Europe are not happy with them. So I would like to show a recent statement from the German Chancellor. explain again.
Ammar Siddiqui is saying Pakistan is no longer an emerging economy.
So he's saying that we share many of the goals with the war, but
Doch mit jedem Kriegstag stellen sich
with each day of war, more questions arise. We are particularly concerned.
mehr Fragen. Vor allem besorgt uns, dass es offensichtlich keinen gemeinsamen Plan gibt,
There is apparently no common plan of how to bring this war to end.
wie dieser Krieg schnell zu einem überzeugenden Ende gebracht wird.
And also a very critical point here is to understand that, as Asasa mentioned, the asymmetry in war, that Iranians have more missiles and cheaper missiles while the US have fewer and more expensive interceptors. The question is, once the US and Israel run out of their inventory of the missiles, what incentive would Iran have to stop the war then? If they wanted to stop the war, it's right now. After the US runs out of its interceptors, Iran would not have as much incentive to stop the war unless there's a nuclear threat. Secondly, the problem is uh, probably yesterday the Iranian president has provided three conditions about how to bring peace and end this war, and it was about to recognize their rights to develop their weapons that they want, to recompensate them for all the damage that has been done, and to have an international warranty as to that such action would not be taken place in the future. And so this
Uh, Imad, we just lost you. I think we
Yeah.
lost Imad. Yep.
Yeah.
So there are a few comments. Let me just show on the screen one by one. Mr. Hamas Siddiqui. In this case, the biggest supply chain disaster uh, in the movement of oil. Okay. The- and he is also saying, Imad, you are back. Yesterday, I was watching EU representative. She said that their cost in 12 days was already euro 3 billion. Hmm. Yep. Imad, we lost you for some time. Over to you.
Yeah, so I was highlighting the fact that the Iranian president still does not show any sign of compromise or wanting to bring this war to an end under surrender. So my question is, given the intent of Iranian leadership right now, given the fact that after the U.S. interceptors run out, when the U.S. run out of interceptor missiles, would Iranians have the incentive to stop the war then? And so this is a very difficult equation for any negotiator to solve. So what's probably the way forward? Maybe economic incentives or otherwise to end this war in a shorter period of time.
Incentive for both sides. There are big incentives really, because Iranians have been totally devastated. I think they should understand that they will not be able to even uh, have complete control of Strait of Hormuz also for too long. So ultimately, there will be the air power that US and Israel has, US especially, uh, they can uh, totally destroy them. At least uh, this Strait of Hormuz, whatever the capacity they have, that can be substantially destroyed, but it will take time. It's not that easy. But they have the armaments and the power to do that in a certain. So I think if the war comes to an end early, and Iranians themselves, uh, open this way rather than they are forced to do that. That is better for their ego also, as Shehzad was saying. It's also a war of egos. So, as far as Trump is concerned, I think he has already, he can say, I've achieved my objective. There's nothing left. He's already saying, I've totally destroyed them. The only thing left is that their power to stop Hormuz. Uh, so it is for Iran also, somebody needs to explain and convince them that it is better that, on some pretext or the other, they stop further war and do it themselves voluntarily, rather than, your capacity is totally destroyed and you are made incapacitated in this area also. That's the incentive.
One more thing, I have been reading since the start of this war that this might turn into World War III. So this is another conspiracy theory that is building up. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. I disagree with that for the simple reason that, World War III, uh, if at all there is one, I hope not in our lifetimes, it will be, when the two superpowers fight with each other. Uh, you have seen that Chinese have given all the support to the Iranians, especially their radar system, which was totally Western previously in the last war. In these 7 or 8 months after the 2025 war, they've deleted or finished their GPS system, and now they are on Chinese system, Beidou's, which is much more accurate. That is what it's providing them this time. Their missiles have been more on target compared to last time. So Chinese and Russians are also supporting them morally and also giving them, helping them to arm themselves. But they are not, China is not interested, at least not in now and for some time to come, to enter into the war, because they think that they are doing very well economically and in technology. So at this stage, there are no incentives for these powers to fight. But that's why, despite this being a very unjust war, very unfair war, the way the Americans and Israelis have done this unprovoked, there is no power willing to even, uh, talk about it vociferously and in strong words. There have been, obviously, Putin and Chinese have provided moral support and political support, but uh, they've done it in a way that, in a more subtle way, right? So I don't think they have, other than the Trump, there are luckily other leaders which are controlling, or major powers are not that stupid really to start, third world war. Uh, they they're not. They have no incentives to do it, in my opinion. And of course, US has no incentive to do it as well. They also want to finish it. They've
Yes.
substantially achieved their objective. They have a huge economy. They've achieved such a great success in the last 250 years, uh, and they continue to dominate the new world of technology. And look at these, 7 or 8 companies, US companies. The market cap, if you add Apple and Nvidia and Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, these 7 great companies, market cap is more than the Chinese GDP.
True.
So, they have all the strengths in terms of technology and in terms of science, but then the greatest number of scientists actually uh, in STEM and others are the Chinese. You know, so Chinese also are competing in the new world. So it will serve uh, the interests of China and US that the economy is normalized. Both have their objectives and areas to compete. It doesn't really help anybody to go for a world war.
One more thing, when we talk about superpower, right, there is a concept, terminology called superpower, which means there are countries which wish to have superpower, right? So superpower is something a country would like to have, right? Which means it is not about the global balance, it is not about the global ethics, it's not about the global governance, but it's about might is right.
Yes, that's might is right, is a basic, fundamental aspect of humanity. It is the survival of the fittest is there. It's a basic, fundamental concept, and that's true. That has been there since centuries, by the way.
Yes.
Might has always
Uh,
been right, and
yes.
but it is only during after the World War II that there was some balance was created. America became superpower, but then Soviet Union was also superpower, and both became nuclear powers. So there was a balance. They did not, choose to fight with each other for supremacy. Same situation now. Soviet Union broke down. Russia is still a major power, but China is the other main power, and China is not interested in the war. They believe in defeating the enemy without war, as I mentioned to you. So
Yes.
why should they fight this war? Uh, they have their own ways to achieve
I think
success.
I think we should have another detailed podcast on about superpowers of the future. So just one sentence. I predict India to be superpower in future. Maybe after 50 years, maybe more than 50 years. But I have reasons. But I park these for some other event. Yep. Uh,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, India has, I think, achieved great success in technology also. You
yeah.
see, both, uh, even in the success of US, when you look at the talent, it's
Yeah.
either Chinese or Indians. You know, so actually Chinese and Indians contribute to the US economy in a big way as well, and that benefits their own countries as well.
And
So it,
when I say India, actually I mean Indian race, which also includes Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Indian race. And when I think about China, I think it's Chinese race. So I am going back to Yajuj Majuj. I think we are Yajuj Majuj. so so we are actually Yajuj Majuj, Chinese and Indians. And slowly
I
and
don't know about
gradually,
that, but certainly India economically very soon will become, they're probably already fourth largest economy,
yeah,
you know, and they will become in a few years' time third largest economy, US, China, and India. So India is definitely, and I don't mix Bangladesh and Pakistan with India. There is a huge difference. Uh, Indians are smarter business people, and they've done very well in terms of producing great CEOs and executives.
I think
Unfortunately, we
genes are same. Genes are same. Race is same.
no, there is a
We
difference. There is a difference. Uh,
in genes.
Pakistan is a lot of imported population. The invaders which came to India.
Okay.
Obviously, the Muslims are more
Okay.
mixed compared to
Okay.
India. Indians are the central India, or what lies between Pakistan and Bangladesh. Uh, they are the original Indians, the Brahmins and the Shudras and all of these people. They were never big fighters. They have not invaded any country. All these countries, Arabs and Turks and then the Europeans, they all came here and invaded India, and obviously have their remnants and signs. But uh, Indian states and Indian entrepreneurs really played a key role in the earlier invasions also, by the way. You know, uh, if you have read this book on East India Company, Anarchy, by William Dalrymple, so he narrates how this, at one time, small trading company became such a big power that it controlled virtually half of the world. And people used to say that sun never sets in British Empire. They built such an empire, right? But
Correct.
in their battles, they actually used Indians. They were financed when they were fighting with Sirajuddaulah, the initial wars, and Tipu Sultan. It was these local states who were financing East India Company more than their, mother country. Uh, so
Mhm.
if you read that and do some
Yeah.
research, you will find he then writes. There's a very interesting one sentence which summarizes the entire book, Anarchy. He says that not many people know that India was more bought than it was fought. So
Hmm.
they purchased India or the leadership more than actually they conquered. So their military was also financed by the Indians, by the way, Indian states. So these same states and entrepreneurs from India are now dominating also.
Yeah. True.
So
True.
essentially, it was then about capital. It's today about capital. So, and you said that the transnational capital is also expected to shift very soon because of this war. So, is this a pivotal point, as you said, that after this war, the transnational national capital and the investment in technology and power might shift eventually? So, would this war in some way play a role in the shift in the transnational capital?
Sorry, I think I'm not hearing you properly. What is the question?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I think I need to come closer to the mobile.
Sure. So
Yeah.
I'm saying that this is primarily about capital. It was about capital then. East India Company was a private company, right? And it was about
Yeah.
investment and making money. And today, you're talking about the transfer of capital from US or withdrawal of capital from US. So it's all about capital. It's all about transnational capital and the struggle for it, right? So how do you see this moving in the future?
So ultimately, it's money is something that everybody's interested. The humanity, they are every all the nations are competing. All the entire world individually and as nations, as tribes, as communities, we are all striving to become rich. You know, ultimately, it's all about money. So money and power, sometimes some people enjoy power more,
All right.
but I think now money has the power as well. So it's basically an overall scenario. It's the economy and the power of money, that these nations and countries and people are striving everywhere. Money has become the god.
I think I think no superpower can survive without a super economy.
Yeah,
You have to
absolutely.
become a super
Absolutely.
economy before becoming superpower.
And it's so unfortunate that this war is happening at a time when the world is at the cusp of what again people are saying that the world of abundance. We are in world of abundance and world of plenty. You know, the way the technology is empowering humanity. Uh, the biggest problem that the nations should worry about is the employment of the people with the AI and the productivity gains, the companies. I think the entire world should worry about what the people are going to do, especially those who are not in technology and who do not have resources and not, well educated. Uh, Nations like Pakistan, Bangladesh, will be seriously left behind.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, and the advent of AI would actually increase the inequalities between countries. And there already talks about universal high income, as Elon Musk has often mentioned that there will be in 10, 20 years the universal high income where everyone would have everything and there would be abundance. But on the other hand, we have the human psychology and greed, which over and over again creates scarcity out of abundance. So, any final remarks on how we should behave in this changing world?
Mm.
Sorry,
Good
I didn't
question.
understand the question.
Imad is asking any final comment. How should we behave in this changing world?
Well, in this changing world, you have to adopt to the rules of the game, you know, to be able to compete and do better, have better standard of living. Uh, we have to learn what India has done. You see, I mean, uh, look at how in the last 25 years, India has reduced poverty and increased wealth. They were poorer than us. We had a
Yep,
bigger GDP per capita. In fact, Pakistan's per capita GDP till 1990 was higher than India, higher than Bangladesh, and higher than China also.
true.
It was only after the leadership of Deng Xiaoping, you know, that the China started in double-digit growth for 30 years or 25 years. They had 10%, 9%, 8% growth. India now, after 2000, again has been growing at 6 to 7%, whereas our growth in the last 4 years has come down to 2%. So we have to see what Indians have done. Indians, I think, took this global niche of technology. They produce, software and software engineers and the technologists. Similarly, China, uh, despite having a dictatorship of one political party, they opened up their economy. And Deng Xiaoping, it's such a strange phenomena, mixing communism with capitalism. uh, you know. So you have a capitalistic economy, but the dictatorship of one party, which is the People's Party, continues. Uh, so we have to find our own niche, but we have to learn from the what successful people, how they have progressed, and also learn from the mistakes of our own and others, so that we don't repeat them.
I personally
Unfortunately,
think, yeah.
unfortunately, that's not happening.
I think one of the key areas that smaller countries or emerging countries miss is the capital formation and incentivization. So if a person wants to have a startup, have a new idea and wants to start a company, they do not have guidance, they do not have the ways angel investors, they do not have uh, private equity and venture capital funds. The entire structure that is there in the US market to promote new ideas, new inventions, new technologies. What we have here is I think a set of belief system has also collapsed to a point where we do not see incentive in doing the right thing. We see incentives in doing the wrong things or things that do not result in economic growth. So we think individually, we're probably it's a matter of culture, it's a matter of belief systems that we have, which is so deeply ingrained into our society. So I think it's all about changing changing the game itself and to change the way of thinking of people, and which is a very major task for any government to undertake.
I've written very frequently on what should be the way forward for Pakistan. If you're talking about that, I have my last article. In fact, today there is the second article on this. First one was hope will not provide jobs, because that I wrote when World Bank President Ajay Banga came to Pakistan. He said Pakistan must create 30 million jobs in the next 10 years. Otherwise, the country will become unstable. Now, we are already in a situation that instead of reducing unemployment, unemployment has gone up in the last 4 or 5 years, and growth has gone down. Unfortunately, we are not addressing uh, uh, the the key issue of why Pakistan has become unproductive and uh, uncompetitive compared to the other countries. And the example of that is in our exports and in our current account deficit, current account, that our remittances are more than our exports. So we need to, if we want to uh, grow and improve lives of people, we need to create really great companies and entrepreneurs and great companies which can compete with the world. That is the only way we can create employment uh, and compete with the world. It has to be through a robust, dynamic, and competitive private sector, not the rent-seeking private sector, and of course the uh, huge elephant in the form of public sector we have. So
Yeah.
today's article was difficult choices. Uh, to difficult choices for 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 job creation. Without that, we'll not be able to progress.
I agree.
Incredible.
And actually, I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I'm sorry. I am not. I'm no longer optimist. Though I'm a very optimist person, but I don't see anything in next 5 to 10 years. Unfortunately, I hope that things improve. I hope that
But we have to do
things
something
prevails.
more than the hope. Hope will not
Yeah,
get us growth and jobs.
true.
That's what I've said. We have to uh, do our contribution. I think each individual has to do. Continue trying. At some point in time, I think change will come.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, how long is this podcast
I
of
think we,
yours?
we have already exceeded. We have already
Okay,
exceeded time. Yeah.
so I think,
So it's time to say goodbye.
okay,
Imad,
I think
can you
so.
conclude?
Yeah,
Thank you so much for your time, Saab. I think we
thank
should have
you.
you once again. It was a very informative session for us, very educational for us as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much, Asif. Thank you, Imad. Uh, so next week we will come again with new session. Uh, this is me and Imad signing off. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.